Hello, let's talk about the difference between solitude and loneliness and the benefits of solitude. Solitude is intentional, is by choice, is a state of being alone, of choosing to be alone. It has positive benefits and even positive experience as it gives time for reflection, creativity, for de-stressing, time for rest, and to be re-energized. It facilitates personal growth, builds self-confidence, allows one to reconnect with self, with your true self, with nature, and for believers, for them to be able to reconnect with God. It is the act of choosing to escape from the day-to-day busy demands and hectic lifestyles, away from distraction. Often people choose to go away to a remote area or remote place or remote location for solitude. Is popularly used by artists to be able to re-energize their creativity, authors, book writers, even other people from different fields who just feel that they need to come up with a unique new product that nobody has ever ventured into, or new ideas to get re-energized and to gain their self-confidence and to hear themselves think. Therefore, it is different from loneliness, which usually is not by choice. Loneliness is mostly imposed on us by various circumstances, and loneliness triggers negative feelings of sadness, anger, depression, abandonment, rejection, and isolation from social interaction, because with loneliness is a situation where you find yourself alone but not by design, whereas solitude is intentionally designed and planned and is what you want to get into because you feel you need that space to be able to find yourself and reconnect and re-identify yourself. Therefore, the characteristics of solitude versus those of loneliness is that solitude is by choice. Loneliness is imposed by circumstances such as termination of relationship, divorce, the end of friendships, and sometimes finding yourself away in a foreign country, in a foreign environment, where you don't know anybody and you find yourself alone, not by choice. Therefore, you'll be feeling loneliness. Whereas solitude is intentional, is planned, is by choice, is a decision to have time alone to think, to work, or to relax without disturbance. That is why often authors, writers sometimes choose to go away on a retreat, on a solitude, just to be alone and to get their creative abilities back on track. Whereas, like I say, loneliness is mostly imposed on us by circumstances such as termination of relationship, of marriage, sometimes by death of loved ones, and when we find ourselves having to relocate to different places or to a different country, a different environment, where we find ourselves so alone and feeling lonely and missing our loved ones. Solitude is a physical separation because, as I mentioned earlier, one makes a decision to separate themselves from the crowd, or they get a quiet space, a quiet time to be alone. If you cannot be having solitude by traveling to a different location to be away from your environment, you can still identify a place in your house. Your library could serve as a place of solitude. Your bedroom could serve as a place where you can easily just have your quiet time from all the noise that is in the lounge, and put your phone away and just to reconnect with yourself and to start thinking. Or you may find you work better when you are in your bedroom, or when you are in your library, if you have a library in your house, or when you are just sitting in your garden. Sometimes you may not even be working. Your time of solitude may just be time to to reflect on life, to reflect on this year, how it has gone for you, all the achievements, all the limitations and challenges you encountered, and focusing on positive things, because often we see things better when we are in a quiet place, when we are having a quiet time. It's also common for preachers, pastors, prophets to go on a solitude or quiet time. Some choose to go to the mountains, some choose to just go to the forest to be able to have their quietness where they could study the Bible and get wisdom and get clarity and get visions and new revelations of what the world holds or the year holds for them and their ministries and their congregations. And even therapists do go on solitude. It's part of clinical supervision where a therapist may choose to just go away with a group of other therapists or by themselves to just have that time to think, to process, to reconnect and re-energize in a remote place. But if you cannot afford to travel to Kasane, the Okavango Delta, beach, to Durban, to Cape Town, or any other place of your choice, you cannot afford to go there financially. One place that I know that usually when I go there, I feel refreshed and I get this time, this solitude, is Libadi Wildlife Reserve in the Tuli block there. It always re-energizes me, allows me to connect with myself and to start looking at things in my life and at my work from an objective point. Like it allows me to have an aerial view or a helicopter view of my life, work with my clients, my projects, and everything else that may be going on in my life. But then I come back really refreshed. Maybe you should give it a try and go to Libadi Wildlife Reserve in the Tuli Block area. But the difference between solitude, like I said, and loneliness is that though both involve being alone, solitude is positive, it brings positivity, it's by choice, whereas loneliness is an imposed feeling of being isolated, abandoned, rejected, sad, going through depression, whilst in actual fact you are desiring social connection, a sense of belonging, and companionship. So the two are not the same. Solitude is something that each and every one of us, I think at some point we do need it to address that burnout, the stress that may have carried through the week, through the month, through the year. So solitude is beneficial. So what purpose does it serve? There are a variety of benefits, like some of them I've already touched on, such as spiritual connection, spiritual reflection, creativity pursuit. You feel like you are hitting against the wall and you're not generating or creating new songs, you're not coming up with new ideas, you are stuck. Or as a therapist, you feel like you're not doing your best, you're starting to second guess your work and the impact that you are doing in your helping profession. You just sometimes just feel like you simply just need to de-stress. So you need self-care. So the benefits of solitude can be put into a couple of categories, like it has emotional and mental benefits. It refreshes your mind and your body. It improves your concentration, your focus, and it boosts your performance and your creativity. Your creative ability may be enhanced, and it instills discipline, especially, like I said, for artists, for athletes, for pastors, prophets, for book writers. Have you noticed that in the soccer profession, and athletes often go on solitude? We always call it retreat, when they go out in a hideout in a remote area away from cell phones and television, just to focus on what they are going to be engaging in, especially if they have a game or a soccer match coming up or a football match coming up, or they have international competitions, athletic competitions. They normally go on this retreat. They go on solitude. Yes, we commonly call it they have gone for camping, but it's serves the same purpose of solitude, being focused, though they do a lot of exercising at the same time, correcting themselves, improving their sprints, improving their pace. It serves a good purpose, so it's refreshing. It also allows you self-discovery. It gives you an opportunity to connect with the inner you. The most important person in your life is you. And sometimes you just need to reconnect with your inner self, your true self, to rediscover your passions, your creativity, to rebuild your confidence and identify what is important to you. It's also that it gives you the ability to have self-appreciation. Time alone can lead to a greater appreciation of the self. You look at yourself, you look at your achievements. Yes, you'll be aware of the limitations, but you'll also be focusing more to be able to see that you have achieved a lot. Often we minimize the things that we achieve because sometimes we set higher unachievable targets, but in reality, when you do look at what you may have achieved in a year, you may realize that there's a lot that you actually achieved. So self-appreciation, focusing on you and thanking your body, mind, your creativity, and thanking your whole self, your inner self. Often we just focus on criticizing ourselves. We pay more attention to the inner critic than we pay our attention to the positive self. And it can give you an objective view of the situations you may be going through. Sometimes you feel you need to make very important decisions, and you cannot think properly if you have to make such decisions when you are surrounded with some of the people that you have decision about. Say you are a CEO of a company and you've been coaching and mentoring and doing everything and training your employees, and there is still non-performance. You need some time to step outside and away and to try and reflect. You'll be able to see the organization better and what is going on. You get revelations on what areas to improve. Sometimes painful as it may be, some people to let go who probably have been there for years, and you've tried all you can for them to share the vision of the organization and to fit into the organizational culture, but still to no avail. Sometimes to make hard decisions, even in our relationship, you may find yourself in a very abusive relationship, toxic relationship that hurts you, and emotionally you find yourself so stressed and so torn. You love this person, but things cannot go on like that, and you feel like I really need to step out and away to try and reflect on this relationship, if indeed I still want to stay in this relationship, and if indeed this relationship is healthy for me, and is it healthy for us. And that's a time where sometimes people find, no matter what they've done therapy, they've done involving the extended family, friends, relatives, they've done it all, but still there is no change because of clashing, conflicting personalities and behaviors that may not change. And you feel, I need to make hard decisions, and I need to get away to be able to think straight, to be able to see straight. Therefore, it is beneficial. Each one of us do need time to reflect on our lives, and we cannot think properly and see properly when we are swamped with our day-to-day lives. You may be saying, okay, I think I need that, or I've tried that before and I think I'm gonna try that. I've never done that. Think about it. So it's important to practice solitude, to be intentional about solitude. You start small, say 30 minutes time. Every time when you knock off, you just allow your mind to settle after the rush of the busy day and after the hectic thoughts you've had at work. You have to be intentional by dedicating time. Schedule solitude time like any other important thing in your life. You create an opportunity, you create a time where you're just going to be having time with yourself, even if it's just for quiet coffee or tea. I love coffee, so I always use coffee. Even if it's just time for a quiet coffee I like going to Sanitas. There's a reason I go to Sanitas is there's trees, there's vegetation, there are plants. You can even buy a plant. You can smell the roses. Their coffee place, it's quiet, serene, re-energizing. The ambience is just perfect. You're just surrounded by trees, you're just surrounded by the bush, and it's beautiful. Even though there may be other people seated over there having their own coffee, every time I go there I just have this peace. I just reconnect with myself and focus on my coffee, paying attention to the aroma of the coffee, the taste. It helps me to distance myself from day-to-day life issues, writing, research, and all that. It just gives me the time to be me by myself and to think, reflect, to process, and walk about. Even when you choose to go for a walk, for example, or to read a book, or to read a Bible for believers, to prayer for some people, just it's a quiet time, it's a time of solitude. Bird watching, I love watching birds. That's why I have a bird feeder in my place. So just sitting there and listening to them, chatting away, chipping away, and making all those beautiful noises just takes my mind from everything else and allows me to just relax and breathe. Listening to soothing music can also do that for you. So create a dedicated time for solitude and engage also in solo activities, something that you just do by yourself, that you choose to do by yourself, alone, like I mentioned, such as reading, meditation, breathing exercises, smelling the roses, smelling the plants, and as long as you are careful to know and avoid poisonous plants. Mindfulness and mindful visualization and relaxation, stretching exercises, or listening to music, like I've already said, they give you solitude. Your solitude is not just empty sitting there thinking of nothing. No, you engage in something that just takes your mind away from worldly concerns, projects that you're working on. That's how you re-energize to be able to think better and be able to become even more creative. Therefore, embrace solitude. Avoid viewing it as a burden, but see it as a necessary and restorative part of your overall wellness, self-care, well-being, mental health. If you treat it as part of your mental health and you become intentional on embracing it, therefore it means when you choose to go on solitude, you can even choose to put your phone on silent so that it doesn't ring off the hook. If you are CEO, director, whatever position you may be, when you want time for solitude, definitely going to start receiving calls that will be calling you back to the office, disrupting that time that you need alone to be able to run that organization successfully. Therefore, you don't have to feel guilty about creating time for alone time, for me time. Some people choose to have a me time or solitude by going for full body massage, or you may choose to go for manicure and pedicure and just be concentrating on the feelings that you get that will leave you refreshed, energized, and you can feel all the stress, all the anxieties just disappearing from your body. And you go back to that office re-energized, invigorated, and excited about life, about your relationships, about your future. And it's not a waste of time at all. It is beneficial for your mental well-being. So embrace solitude. Until next time.